Hereditary fate misplaced, but I guess that's wishful thinking when it comes to family trees. Sleep has become impossible, occurring in short bursts. Dreams as vivid as my daylight life, but oddly enough doesn't seem to hurt. Emotions never felt, angry at myself. Breaking all connections, family, friends all put away on the shelf. Time to pour it all out, surprise myself. Yeah, break them all, cry about it all, not just to myself. When they say to me, in our eyes, you know we believe you're not crazy, just a little sad. And you're not angry, no.
Hey listeners, how are you this week? CJ here, and look, we've got a bit of a special episode for you. It's wonderful, finally an Australian, finally I can record at a decent time. It's not like some crazy American time. Now, I'm not going to lie to you listeners, I've been looking forward to speaking to this man for some time. I only stumbled across him a couple of weeks ago. Now, look, he is a streamer, and I know what you're thinking, oh, CJ, more streamers, but this is a different type of streaming. This is music streaming. We have a professional musician here in our mix today, listeners. So this man is from Victoria, Australia. So let me throw some background at you here, listeners. In 2019, he debuted, I'm going to say this, sir, but correct me if I'm wrong here, as a solo musician with his single, Not Crazy. It went on to win the Radium Award and the Top 100 Song of 2019 in the Atomic Countdown. But look, he wasn't done there. His latest single, Long Night, is also now charting second on the Atomic Countdown. He's been a Twitch streamer for some time, recently made a partner as well. It is my pleasure to welcome you tonight, Chris Miller. Thank you for joining me.
Not a problem at all. It sounds like you've really done your research there. I like it.
Well, I was just waiting for you to correct me as I went. But good.
You nailed it.
Oh, good. It's so funny, because like I talk to devs, I talk to gamers and stuff, and I never feel nervous, but suddenly in the presence of a musician, because, I dabble a bit as well, I do feel a little bit more tense, because I know you can call me out on my bullshit here. So I'm looking forward to it. But look, why don't we just start off first? We get the compulsory question out of the way. Are you a gamer? Do you enjoy games as well?
100% yes, and 100% yes.
Oh, good. The audience they'll be happy. Can I ask what's your preferred game or preferred genre?
Oh, the one that's probably stacked up the most hours on is Counter-Strike. So a bit of Counter-Strike and PUBG.
So you're a PC player then?
Yes.
Okay, we won't hold that against you, but look,
Master race.
Look, you might have heard the term before, Sony Pony. That's what a lot of our listeners would subscribe to on the PlayStation side. But look, I'm all about opening up. I'm an Xbox player. You're a PC player. The rest are in the middle somewhere, I think. So,
hey, we're all gamers. We all enjoy the same thing, right?
That's very true. It's true. And it's amazing how many musicians are gamers as well. Now, I just wonder if that's because they have so much free time, Chris. They just do their gig and then they do nothing else for the rest of the day. They just sleep and drink. That's sort of correct, isn't it?
I want to be one of those musicians. Where do I sign up?
It's like that, isn't it? So what I like about you, and we'll get into it and everything else, is that being a musician is not an easy job by any stretch of the imagination, listeners. Most, you got your high profile professional musicians traveling the world, but a lot of musicians that work professionally, they do a lot of different things, don't they, Chris? I mean, you do session music in your life. You might do musicals, you do support acts, you'll do your local RSL, you'll do whatever people throw money at you for. You'll learn other instruments, you'll expand yourself. You might even end up teaching. It's such a varied profession to get into. But what I've learned through my life as a musician and respected is that the people that chose another career but chose music as their hobby and passion, that they sort of turned into a secondary career. And is that sort of, am I on the right track here with you? Is that sort of how you came about to this?
100%. I've actually got a 9 to 5. I work in finance in my day job. And music and Twitch and streaming and everything else is my secondary hobby that's sort of slowly turning into a secondary career.
Yeah, I like that. So can I ask, when did you start playing? How did you get into guitar and singing?
So my dad got me into guitar at a very young age. I started playing when I was about 6. And then I didn't really take it seriously until I got into my teenage years, and a few of my friends started picking up guitar, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I discovered Metallica and sort of got really into it then. Started learning. I was like, what is this? This is amazing. And so yeah, I played in a bit of some rock and some metal and that sort of stuff, and then sort of found my way back to acoustic guitar. And yeah, I taught music from through my VCE, taught guitar, and as a job in high school. And then yeah, when I finished up at high school there, I just sort of played music as a hobby, with a few friends and everything like that. And then I didn't start singing until Twitch came along. Like I didn't start performing live on my own until I started streaming on Twitch.
Now I want to get to this Twitch, but you're telling me before that you are self-taught. So that's correct, isn't it? You've just picked all this up. I mean, you must have a very good ear as well.
Well, yeah, I was taught the very basics of reading tablature, and then once I picked it up when I was about 13, I started getting right into it, and then from there I went okay, and that's why I was able to teach myself music, and just like listening and imitating and those sorts of things, rather than having someone sit down and teach me this is how to strum. I just had to try and figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah,
I like that. Music is so encompassing when you play it. And one of the things I noticed when I stumbled onto your stream is that like the musicians that I enjoy listening to, or the musicians that really have a lot to say, I think are musicians that lose themselves when they're playing. They're almost, I don't know if you've heard this expression before, but you can be sitting watching someone play and it's almost like they're not in the room anymore. It's just what they're doing, and they've sort of melded into it, or the instruments become part of them. And I definitely get that feel with you when you play, that it's so immersive in what you do and who you are when you play. So can I ask though, there's a big difference between, say, performing in your living room, no pun intended, but and then performing, to hundreds to thousands of people. Do you like that performance element? Does that spur you on, or?
Well, Twitch for me was basically learning how to perform on my own. And so I was going to use Twitch as a way to then go out and do live gigs at pubs and clubs and festivals and those sorts of things. And that sort of just ended up turning around the other way. So I don't do very many live gigs anymore. I sort of take a few of the bigger ones. Like I played a beer festival here in Albury-Wodonga to 4,000 to 6,000 people, and that was incredible. But it was supposed to be the other way around. You know what I mean? Like Twitch was just supposed to be a bit of not take up too much of my time and do more live gig stuff. But there's definitely something that I enjoy about playing, like just playing in general, just being able to perform and making people happy and singing along and all that fun stuff, the interaction.
Yeah, I like that. So take me back, your first few sessions on Twitch. What were you expecting, and how has it sort of panned out to the reality of today?
Well, I was kind of expecting to play to nobody to start with, and I was comfortable with that. I was like, I'm just starting. I don't want to play to too many people. I want to just maybe have like one or two people have a listen, and whatever. I'm still learning how to do all this. And on my very first stream, I got rated by an Aussie gamer, super average gamer, and he had like 100 and something people, and I was like, what do I do? Like, like I was like, oh no. I had like 20 songs on my song list. I was like, what do I do? Anyway, kept playing, and that was a bit of fun. Over time, I started to realize that there was far more musicians on Twitch than I thought, and so and then going through and having a look at some other musicians and seeing them, I was like, oh my god, their setups look crazy. Like they've got these really great cameras and really good effect, like just lighting and sound quality is amazing. Like I want my stuff to be like that, and it took me quite a while to figure out how to get anywhere close to some of the quality that is on Twitch. I feel like that I'm starting to get somewhere with it now.
Yeah. It's really funny because, look, I'm older than you, and I can say that because whatever age you are, I'm definitely still older than you, sir. So what I found interesting is...
Last person that said that to me, they weren't. So.
No, I'm pretty sure I am. So the listeners definitely sure, I can tell you.
Weird flex, but okay.
So anyway, with in my old age naivety, I didn't realize that Twitch supported other things that weren't just gamers, because again, I didn't really participate in it, and then occasionally we'd have people on, so I'd watch them a bit or something like this, and so I got to learn more, and I think I just somehow linked through to you, and it actually opened my eyes, as you say, to the number of musicians on there, which is fantastic, because again, it's very, I mean, in this current climate we're in, it's perfect medium, I suppose, but it's really difficult to start off and get gigs and to build yourself up. And I suppose just having a platform that you can just turn it on, with basic equipment and just go, it must be so freeing.
Oh, 100%. Like, I used to be on Twitch all the time. Like, I'd be watching different streamers and such and enjoying, watching them play, whatever. And then one day, I just very much the same thing. I was just happening to flick through the random browse section of Twitch and came across this brother, sister, father trio streaming on Twitch. Their name's Envari. Shout out Twitch, Twitch Envari. But I was blown away. I was like, holy crap! There's musicians on Twitch. And before I knew it, I just went into this rabbit hole. And it was actually my wife that said it. She goes, well, you're on your computer anyway. You're always playing guitar in front of your computer. Why don't you just turn a webcam on, and go for it? Obviously it's a little bit more in depth than that, but that's kind of like what I started with, was just a basic web camera and a basic interface, and away we went. And, it's crazy.
It is. Look, see, you opened the door there on your wife. As everybody knows, or every musician knows, behind a great musician is a wonderful support act, whether it be husband or wife. Now, your wife she's a beloved member of your community as well, isn't she? Mama Miller, is that correct? Am I pronouncing?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's taken on a personality of herself, I think, as well. So it must be lovely that you can include her as well in this project.
100%. It's something that like you just said, then she's a beloved member of the chat, and everyone, always jokes when she sits down, because she'll quite often, give me an intermission. I'll go get some water and maybe a toilet break or something like that. And she'll keep chat entertained rather than just putting on a be right back screen, which sometimes I still have to use. But yeah, most of the time she'll sit here and have a chat with them, and they always laugh and go, oh, the real streamer's here now, finally. Like, I'm like, oh, thanks guys, I appreciate the love.
Oh, I like it. I like it. So, I mean, I want to get into it in a moment, because you don't just perform. I mean, you also do these like live listens, I believe you call them. You do duets as well with your Twitch sings, and then, you're composing songs as well, as you were doing the other night there, all live on stream. But for your playing, I noticed that you play a lot of covers. So I wanted to ask you, you have a set list, which is very impressive. I'm a classically trained musician, Chris. So, I'm sure you've heard the joke before, a classical musician practices for 6 months for a 10-minute concert. A popular musician practices for 10 minutes for 6 months of gigs, paid usually too.
But sounds about right, actually.
It's totally right. Trust me, sir. But what I want to ask, when you've got a big set list, but there I'm sure a lot of the songs come up a lot. Is there a song you really dislike singing in your set list that's just grated at you now?
I just tend to remove those ones. if I get sick of playing it, or not so much sick of playing it, because I try and give it a little bit extra flavor every time, like just do something a little bit different. Or there's just some songs that I enjoy and just keep playing. But yeah, there's no real one song that jumps out at me that I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this song. Like, it's more if it's too big. Like, sometimes if I've been singing for 4 hours and someone requests, like Kings of Leon's Sex on Fire, and I'm like, I don't think my vocals are going to handle this. Like, they're pretty worn out. But that's about it, I think. There's no real one song. Otherwise, I just remove it from my list so I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's my stream. Deal with it.
Yes. That's exactly. Look, sir, I totally understand that. Yeah. That's cool. Now, obviously, you've built up that set list over a period of time, and I know that. Yeah, I know you're equally sometimes dismissive of, that it's all practice. There's no natural ability. If you practice enough, you can do anything. Which may or may not be true, Chris. I'm not sure with music there, but how long? For people that are sort of looking at that is a big set list. How long does something like that take to put together? I mean, that's like years, I'm imagining, to gravitate to what you like to play and what you've put together there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in August 2018. So we're coming up to 2 years now, and I think I started streaming with about maybe 20 or 30 songs on my list. And since then, it's increased over time. It's starting to increase a lot more often now. Like, people are throwing, like you said, live learns at me, and I just sort of listen to it on YouTube and try and make my own version of it. But at the start, I wasn't very good at that, so I had to say, oh, sorry, I can't play that song. Pick one from the list. I couldn't be as flexible as I am today. But I think it is like the live learn stuff is very, very much just getting better at listening to something and being able to go, oh, that sounds like this. Maybe I can do that. And just getting better at that learning stuff really fast.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I think again, you're a little bit modest there because not too. I mean, I know musicians will take requests or something, but not too many musicians want to take a request while there's hundreds of people watching them online, listening and trying to figure it out at the same time. So I think that's quite an impressive skill you've developed there. Has there is there stuff though that you get requested like that that you just sort of have to pass on, or you choose to pass on, or?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's like sometimes there's songs that I'm like, what I had one the other night, and I think it was a Japanese anime theme song, and I listened to it, and I was like, I'm sorry, mate. There's no possible way I can recreate this on an acoustic guitar. Like it's just too difficult. There's been some other songs as well, like some like heavy metal or something like that, and I go, oh look, I can't make an acoustic version of that. However, I do have some Slipknot or Stone Sour or Avenged Sevenfold on my song list, so maybe there's something in there you might enjoy. And quite often, more than not, they will go in there and be like, "Oh, that's awesome! Here, can I hear this?" And they, take a bit something that I can play for them.
Yeah, I like that. I was just thinking the next time that I get around to, a position in the queue of requesting something, I might request some Hatsune Miku. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Japanese Vocaloid or not, but I think that'll test your vocal range. So.
Yeah. No, I think the vocal range in combination with Japanese, I don't think I'm going to be very, very good at that one.
Yeah, no, I like that. So look, we'll come back to music in a second, but I've talked to people before, obviously on the gaming side, that are affiliates that are trying to make that push towards becoming a Twitch partner because it's a big thing, or as you would know, becoming a partner. Do you? And I know you're doing it from the music side, but it's still on the same platform. Do you have like any advice or encouragement, or what would you say to people that are sort of on that affiliate level but trying to push through to that next stage?
It's interesting actually because I'm going to be talking about this in a couple of weeks with a few other people as well. But to me, it's all about there's a couple of elements. So one, it's trying not to compare yourself to other people in a negative light. So try not to go like there's two ways of the negative side. You can go, oh, I'm no good at this, da da da. It's not so much that there are people out there that are, let's face, like they're not very good at gaming, but they're very entertaining as people, right? And then you've also got the other negativity side of it too, in terms of don't assume that because somebody else has got this success that they haven't done something or haven't worked at it very, very hard to get there. So what I did in for me was, I looked around and I saw all these people getting partner. I was like, why am I not getting partner? And then I had to be very critical about my stream itself rather than as well as the content, but just in terms of like, how does it all look? How does it all, as a viewer, I'd go back and watch my VODs and critique myself. So I'd go back and go, okay, the video quality is not very good. Or, your alerts are popping up and covering certain, like there's all these little things that you can do over time, right? But it all comes down to two main elements being one, audio quality needs to be nice and your video quality needs to be nice, but audio over video every time. But yeah, it needs to be like, it's like saying, if I'm going to watch this streamer and it's very poor quality viewing, why would I not go watch somebody else that's got very high quality viewing? And it's all about networking too. So staying sort of like in your niche and working around your niche and sort of networking with other streamers, and not so much just like reaching out for, the people at the very top straight away, because most likely, those streamers will get requests a lot of the time. But like trying to formulate a group of other streamers and help yourselves collectively grow. And I'm not talking about like follow for follow or anything like that. I'm talking about actually finding a couple of core people. Like I know myself, I've got a couple of gaming friends who are streamers. One's just made partner the week before I did, and another streamer's on the way as well. And they're gamers, so they're not even in my niche, but we're sort of like in this nice little Aussie friendship circle, like we're all, bouncing ideas off each other and helping each other out, and the raid every now and again towards each other as well. It's all about that networking rather than just sort of getting into every single Discord or every single Facebook thing or thing like that. Just find a nice little group that you guys can work together and bounce ideas off of, and see how you can help each other improve and hold each other accountable, I guess.
Yeah, I like that. I mean that's great for any art form as well, because I mean to self-evaluate and to critically evaluate is so difficult. I mean, especially for a musician, because we're usually hypercritical of our own work anyway. But seeing it, as a general public, but also that point of networking. I mean, that even though it appears, as you say, like you're one person there. I mean, there's a lot behind it and a lot of mutual support as well. So that's very interesting for me to hear as well. It's good to hear, I think, because when I was preparing for tonight, I was like, well, I don't know, do we just come at this from the normal angle, or do I come at it from a bit of a music educator angle as well? Because, I see a lot of kids, leave university every year and they just have no idea what they're going to do with their music, really, and no job and no other career, unfortunately, or prospects. So to hear that, and I think sometimes the universities aren't the best at teaching networking here in Australia, maybe compared to Europe and America, especially in the arts. So it's wonderful to hear that there are these people out there as well that you've found and you can mix with as well. I do like that. So what I want to ask you now is, like, I don't know if you can cast your mind back. You said early on, though, when you started, you were hoping there was sort of no one. You got the thing. I'm sure when you started, it was very small numbers and it built up. Did you ever have that situation? Because I know for a lot of gamers, when they start or they're early on, they come on and there's no one there, and they have to get it going. They have to talk. And I mean, you're a very good talker, sir. I've seen some of the links of your streams. They're insane. Perhaps, but do you how do you balance that side, I suppose, is the question I'm coming to, between playing and then the banter with the audience and involving them in the performance as well on Twitch?
Yeah, so I guess it's different. You're probably thinking as well, like from the live setting. If I was to go play at a live pub, it's kind of like the way I see it. If I'm playing at a pub or a festival or something like that, they're not specifically there to see me play most of the time, right? Like the majority of the people there are just patrons that just happen to wander past and go, oh, the music's okay, cool, let's pull up a seat here and have a beer. So they're not, it's a little bit different. Whereas on Twitch, every single person that comes in, or just 99% of the people that come into your channel, are there to see you. So whether it's on playing music or something like that, I'm very aware that there are people spending the most valuable thing that they have, which is our time. And let's face it, we're all pretty time poor. That person's giving me what they consider valuable. I want to give something back to them. So I want to make sure that, I always acknowledge that they're there and have a bit of a laugh with them. And, every single person that comes in, and if they say something in chat, like, oh, how you doing? I always make sure that I remember that if I'm halfway through a song and someone says hi, I try and like scroll back up and go, oh, hi, username, how you doing? Welcome to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Just sort of inviting people in. And most of the time now, my community have picked up that same vibe. So if I'm halfway through a song, most people will come and say hi, and my community itself will welcome them in, and because they know that that's kind of what we do. So it's all about staying engaged with people and just talking with people, and they. As we say here in Australia, they hang shit on me all the time. They make fun of me and everything. And it's all good fun, like no one's nasty or anything. It's all just, like you said, a bit of banter and a bit of fun. And, well, I'm not too serious about myself. Like I see this as, this is my downtime. Twitch is my downtime, my fun time. So I get to have a bit of a laugh and a bit of a play with everybody.
Yeah, look, I agree. You can't take yourself too seriously in this life. You've got to laugh at yourself and have fun. But I think what surprised me when I started watching you, and then moving and watching some of the other performers on there as well, is that it really is a performance, because it isn't just this playing. It is this banter, as you say, and this connection and involving the audience as well. And so what I wanted to ask you is that I understand that a schedule is very important with these sort of things, because as you say, people want to see you at a certain time. So you perform now, I don't want to shoot myself in the leg here, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Is that correct?
Correct.
So you usually start around 7 p.m. So that's a very Australian-friendly time. But, and I know you have a family, so that makes a lot of sense. But one thing that I found interesting, and this is probably not interesting to you, but it seems like from reading your chat that a large portion of your audience is from overseas, from America. And I mean, there's Australians there as well, but, and Europe as well. So it's almost like the time doesn't matter. Do you think like you don't need to structure your time here to fit in with the potentially your patronage, I suppose?
Yes and no. So I think at the start it's very important. At the start, like when you first start streaming, it's very important that you it's not so much very important. It's a little more important to structure around other people's time zones, because when you look at I think if you look at the statistics for Twitch, and probably somebody can correct me on this, but I think the best time for me to stream for the most amount of viewers on Twitch at any given point in time is 9 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday for me. So in Australia. So I think that's like 10 o'clock Saturday night or something like that in the States, or sometime around there. So there's lots more viewers on there. So when I first started streaming, yes, I sat to 20 to 30 viewers for quite a while. But at the same time, and so because, obviously with less viewers comes less competition at the same time. So you're sort of like a two-edged sword. Yes, you've got less people that can potentially have more viewers than you, but there's also less viewers to go around. So it's kind of, it evens itself out. But I think, to me, rather than focusing on just the viewer count, I think you've got to be comfortable and happy with your streaming at your time and your schedule. So, for me, like I said, I work a 9-to-5 job. I have a family. I have other commitments and things. So for me, I can go to my job, do my work day, have dinner with my family, do all that stuff. And then I can come and log on and play music, Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week. Saturdays, it doesn't really matter. I can sort of be a little bit more flexible. But it means I can fit streaming around my other schedule. Like, I'm not making streaming my core structure of my day. And that's really important to me. It's super important to my wife, just putting it out there.
I can imagine.
But I mean, at the same time, like, it's sort of like, well, who comes, you start to develop the community around the time that you're on. So if I don't stream at 7 o'clock and I don't put anything out, I will get messages saying, where are you? Why are you not on? What's going on? Because it's consistency. It's always 7 p.m., Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And people know that. So you like you said, there's, Europeans, a lot of Germans, Swiss and that love to get on, and they will get up in the morning wherever they are. They will get up in the morning, make themselves breakfast and a coffee, and come and turn my stream on to come and watch and listen. And if I don't, they're like, hey, I've got my coffee and my breakfast. Where are you? So it's, I think if you make the time, people will make the time to come and see you.
Listeners, if you're wondering how I'm stretching this back into gaming, part of how I, we talked before how I love using podcasts when I game, because I very rarely listen to the noise, or the music, I should say, from the game, if you will. When I have time to play, I love to listen to podcasts. I love to educate myself. But having come on to Twitch now, you do have the VODs as well. If you're not on, and I'm around and I have time, and it's wonderful to use it as a soundtrack when I'm doing other things, or as you say, these Europeans are putting it on in the morning in the background. And it's also wonderful for me to know that you're not a 9 a.m. Sunday morning musician in Australia, because you would probably be the only one, I imagine, performing at that time. So,
there's actually a couple of other Aussie musicians that stream quite late or quite early. So there's one, Jonathan Ong, he streams, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock Australia time at midnight. So there are some people that do adjust their schedules to fit around other time zones a bit better as well.
Okay, I like that. Now, I want to ask you also about your endurance, because, I joked before that some of your streams are very long, but, your performance, 4 hours is not a short length for you. I that might be the minimum for you. I see that you're quite often over that in the length. So how, it must be physically exhausting, is it, to perform for this long? Because even when you're not singing, you're still performing, you're still engaging. How have you built up your stamina for that, or do you not find that?
Oh no, 100% built it up. When I first started streaming, like 2 hours, I was really tired, to put it bluntly. My feet would hurt, like my because I wasn't a singer, like I wasn't used to singing and stuff like that. So my vocals were, I'd wake up the next day and I'd be like, oh, I barely got a voice, or my fingers, like, just in general, like it really did suck. But yeah, I think it just sort of built it up over time, and then tried not to. If I'm playing at a pub, for instance, if I play a gig at a pub, I might play for 3 hours, but I'll get a break every 45 minutes for 15 minutes as well. I can go get some water and things like that. I kind of feel like when you're streaming, I don't want to do that too much, because, you put on a Be Right Back screen and people might go, oh, I'll just go find someone else. And so you're right. It's been just a gradual build up of trying not to just go song for song for song for song for song, realizing that people do want to talk to me. People do want to engage with me. So when I finish a song, make sure I acknowledge some people and stuff. And that extends the stream a little bit. I'm not saying I'm using it as a filler, but it just naturally happened like that. So yeah, all of a sudden, a stream that goes for 2 hours, now I'm streaming, like I said, 4 hours roughly, sometimes 5. it's been a build up. It's like the gym. you got to keep doing it.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Now, you're wonderful at building the hype in your streams as well. And I mean, one of the great things, I think when I stumbled on you the first time, I must have stumbled around the time that there was a raid on. I didn't realize that's what your mashups were sort of tied to when people raid you and stuff. But it's a wonderful tour de force of musicianship, but also of hype. I mean, the chat goes berserk. They love it. They love it, Chris. I'm sure you realize that. I'm sure it's also handy for subs as well at that point in time. But not that would be the point. But if you could you just talk us through that mashup, because it is really something to hear. And I don't know I don't know if you have it available that you can hear it elsewhere. I know it's in the VODs if you can find it, or you perform it most nights, I assume, anyway. But what's in this mashup?
So the mashup is actually available on YouTube. I think it's a little bit of an extended version. I think there's like one other little extra bit that I put in there. But it's so for listeners and people that might not understand this, I actually use like what we call a loop pedal. I can record different elements. So I record basically like 2 bars and then record over that again with 2 bars. And it just starts to build up this song. And so I mashed the song up with Ed Sheeran's You Need Me, I Don't Need You, 50 Cent In the Club, Eminem Without Me, Eminem Rap God, R.A. The Rugged Man, the song called Definition of a Rap Flow. And then I finished off with the last verse of You Need Me, I Don't Need You by Ed Sheeran. So it's like it's all very fast-paced rap mashup. It gets really fun.
It is. It's fantastic. I mean, the screen's going berserk. I don't know if you're doing that, the mods are doing, or somebody's doing that, and there's things going on. It's fantastic to see, and it is. I mean, if you do nothing else today, listeners, jump on YouTube then, and we'll put all that link and stuff in the show notes, and have a listen, because it's fantastic. I mean, you even have to put the controller down there, Chris. That's the ultimate compliment I think I can give you.
Yes.
You take my attention from the game, but no, I'm only joking. I like it. Now, you've referenced pub gigs a little bit here in the last, obviously, the last 6 months or so has been devastating for the music industry in Australia, or the live music industry in particular. I mean, it's going to take a long time for many musicians. Well, maybe not the top level musicians will be fine, but many average, working musicians are going to take a long time to recover from this in various ways. Do you think now, with having found success on Twitch and you'll clearly enjoy it, are you even keen to one day go back to live performance, or are you happy here now on this medium?
Well, to put it in perspective, I think for 2018, I played 2 live gigs for the whole year. For 2019, I played 6 live gigs for the whole year. And 2020, I've played 2. So I don't play very many live gigs anyway. I tend to, I don't go chasing them. People come to me and say, hey, I saw you on Twitch. Can you come play this gig? And so for me, I'm not missing live gigs as much as some of my other music brethren out there that, are doing 30 gigs a month and things like that. They're really hurting. And I've actually gone around and helped them set up their live streams, whether it be on Twitch or Facebook or whatever it may be, just to keep them sort of relevant with music and doing something, and maybe even finding something different for them to do going forward. But yeah, I think I'll pick up live gigs as I've still got 3 weddings booked in October and November this year that are still going ahead. So I'll go play those gigs, obviously to a lot smaller crowds than what we were originally going to go. But yeah, I think the rest of this year is going to be pretty much a throwaway for live gigs for musicians in particular.
Yeah. Look, I agree. I think that's part why it's so exciting to find someone like yourself doing this. And it's definitely an opening, I think, for a lot of musicians to take on this sort of technology and maybe start to think outside of the box. To move forward. But, we'll leave the negative aside. Now, I noticed that in your recent partner celebration stream, which again was off the rails exciting, it was going off, and you had people rating here. And I noticed, I was a little surprised, only again, because I didn't realize how many musicians are on Twitch, but you were rated by Nathan Cavalieri. If you don't know, listen, he's an Australian guitar prodigy, a phenomenal guitarist and actor, I believe, as well. There. So what's that like to know that you're playing, someone like that knows your name, I suppose, and it must be fulfilling for yourself musically.
It took me a moment to realize who it was to start with. I'm sitting there and I was like, Nathan Cavalieri, I know that name. How do I know that name? And then my wife come running out from the lounge room and she was like looking at me like nodding. And I was like, wait a second. And I was like, I know who you are. I used to watch you when I was a kid, man. Like, because we're relatively, same age or similar age. And I was like, oh my God. So like, yeah, to see him on Twitch is something that was, I think, really, really cool. And he's become, a Twitch, a piece of the, community beloved. But yeah, like having someone like that come along and having a raid, and he raided me prior to that, like maybe 2 months beforehand or a month beforehand, and yeah, he I hit him up. I said, "Oh, we're gonna have to do a collaboration one day," and he's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "That would make my day. That would make my year if I could, play with someone like Nathan and do some sort of collab like that." But yeah, having guys like that is just really cool. I think I got to raid Matt Heafy from Trivium. A few months back, and that was another little rush of mine because as a teenager, I was a massive Trivium fan. So to see him on Twitch as well, like he's been on Twitch for quite a while, but I actually got to raid him, and I was like, yeah, this is awesome,
I like that because it's sort of, I mean, musicians are funny. I remember when I was younger and I was in Europe and playing in the orchestras and things there, and you'd meet an idol, on the classical side, Chris. So I'll try not to put you to sleep here. An idol player, and I was sort of youngish, well, not that young, early 20s, and I was incredibly nervous, and my French was not brilliant at the time, and so I'd stutter and I'd make a fool of myself or whatever, and I'll never forget. And they're like, and some of these were very old, established musicians. They're like, no talk, we just play. And that's the amazing thing about music is you can just play with another player sometimes, and you don't need to talk. It's all there. And what I wanted to ask you about, because playing with someone else online is I would imagine very tricky. Obviously, if they're with you, and I saw you did a recent duet sort of session with, was it Tamsin? Am I correct there?
Yep. One of my friends, Tamsin. Yep.
Yeah, it's a fantastic singer as well, and you can see that on the VODs as well, listeners, if you like. But I notice you do these duets as well over. They're online, I assume. So can I ask? It's a technical question, just for my own interest, I suppose, selfish interest. How do you deal with a delay there? Is there a delay, or how does that work?
Okay, so on Twitch Sings, which is like it's basically karaoke on Twitch. And so what they do is they have their backing tracks and everything, and it's like what was that old game that you used to be able to get on PlayStation? And you had the microphones and you could sing along with it.
Like a SingStar.
Yeah, SingStar. That's what it is. It's basically SingStar but Twitch.
Oh, okay.
So you have the following line like shows you where you are in pitch, and you get points for it, and it gives you a star rating at the end. But what you can do is actually record a duet. So you can record an open duet. So I would record part 1, for instance, and then it would tell me what my parts are throughout the song. And then the second person can go to, Chris MillerMusic, find me and go, oh, he's got an open duet to, whatever song it might be, and click on it. And then they would just basically be singing over my VOD, and it would record their VOD and then sync them together. So it's like you're singing them together in a duet.
Wow, isn't this technology amazing?
It's pretty cool. Like when I first discovered it, I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. Like I get to sing with other people from all over the world. Like this is really fun.
That is fantastic. Yeah, I mean, not to get into the weeds, listeners, but of course, if you're doing your Zoom or your Skype or the dreadful Skype or or whatever else, obviously, if you're trying to play in sync with someone, the delay is just a killer. So yeah, that makes total sense now. I get how that works.
So some
cool.
musicians as well, like on the flip side, they'll actually in their stream will pull up another streamer's stream into their stream so that they can hear what they're playing and then play over the top of it. Exactly the same as Twitch Sings, but they're actually playing over somebody else's live video. So their stuff will all be in sync, and you can like watch them playing over another player. I think it's really cool as well.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I can see myself falling down an even deeper hole now, Chris.
Yeah, it's a rabbit hole. It's a massive rabbit hole.
Look, I love those things. As you can probably tell, I like to change topics at a whim. So I love falling down. I love falling down the thing. Now, I am conscious of taking your time, but if we could, I'd just like to sort of wrap up and touch on though this Radium Award and this Atomic Countdown. Would you be able to talk a little bit about this, because it's something that I hadn't heard about until I found you, and it's something that I really like. So would you be able to share a little about that?
Absolutely. So Atomic Music is a community radio-based chart, which started here in Albury-Wodonga, and it is going up and down the east coast of Australia now. Recently just went nationwide across, and I'm probably going to get told off for saying this. I can't remember the name of it now. I think it's called TuneCore. It might be something else, but it's a one of those you can listen to radio on the internet or on your phone apps type thing. And yeah, so they've got this countdown where people can submit their music, and then you can buy. It's like Spotify, but for more like, it's not the top 40, and it's not Triple J or whatnot, but it's sort of like it's community radio that's shared around. So so that song, I released my first song, Not Crazy, on there. Yeah, it held in the charts for the entire year. I think it made a resurgence again this year once I released my first single. So people were buying my second single as well as my first single. So my first single went back in the chart. But yeah, so I took out a Radium Award, which was for a certain amount of purchases of the song. And so I got sent a plaque and everything like that. And the song actually won Song of the Year. So they do like a countdown of the top 100 songs for whatever year it is. And yeah, my first single, Not Crazy, which is a song about mental health, won Song of the Year by quite a stretch. So that was really cool. And yeah, so I released my second single, Long Night. That went on there as well. And it's currently it was number 1 for 6 weeks. It's just come down now to number 2. But that's won a Radium Award as well. So it's really good. It's a great platform for people that haven't been aren't big established and touring musicians to be able to lodge their music, and people can buy it or stream it and listen to it, and yeah, just basically enjoy some music.
Yeah, I like that. Actually, I caught in your stream, you were saying that weird phenomena where people were buying the first one, but you needed them to buy the second one so that it could rise up the charts. It's a fickle world we live in, isn't it? I like it. So look, I just want to ask then, because you're doing all these covers, you've got a few singles. Are you planning, like every musician's dream, are you planning on an album? Is that where this is heading to, or are you happy just to do the singles here and there?
Well, I'm sort of in two frames of mind. So I enjoy releasing singles because it's something that I can sort of take my time a little bit with. I feel like when I'm recording an album, if I was to record an album, I would feel like I'd want to book the studio out for like a month and sit there for the month and get it all out and record everything in sort of one big hit. But we actually recorded, like you touched on a little bit before, we recorded a new song last night live on stream. I'm actually going to go in the studio and record that one as well. That'll probably be the last single I release before I release an EP. I'm wanting to release an EP in the next 6 to 12 months.
I get the feeling you like to be busy, Chris.
I don't know so much as I like it, but it's just the way I live. I'm always shooting for more. You know what I mean? Like I'm always trying to achieve bigger things. And they don't have to be like so much phenomenally bigger, but always working towards something, always trying to achieve something new, and trying not to sit too stagnant on anything, whether it be music or streaming or just in life in general. I just want to keep achieving things, and because it gives you motivation to go and do stuff, right? So if you want to achieve something, you get out of bed and you go and do it. So I think it's important for me anyway.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's clear the passion music brings to you. It's infectious in your voice. I mean, it's infectious watching you play on Twitch. It's infectious in your community, which I think it's a wonderful thing. And overall, too, you're an incredibly positive person. I mean, you referenced there your first single there about mental health, but I mean, I don't know you at all, Chris. I just sent a random message, listeners on Discord, but you're obviously clearly an approachable person as well. So look, I do want to thank you so much for carving out some time for myself tonight. I found it fascinating, and also for our listeners. And I suppose I would like to ask: is there? I mean, obviously the best way to find you is on Twitch, but if our listeners, they want to support you, they want to find this stuff, what's the best way to get on the Chris Miller wagon, I suppose?
Yeah, well, you can find me on any streaming platforming service for music, so your Spotify or Apple Music or anything like that. You can look for Chris Miller Long Night or Chris Miller Not Crazy. You should find the profile there. And then Instagram is CMillerMusic _AU for Australia. Twitter is CMillerMusic _AU as well. Facebook is CMillerMusic, and Twitch is CMillerMusic.
It's perfect. Thank you, sir. So next time you turn on that PlayStation or that Xbox or that PC thing, listeners, turn down the music on that JRPG. It's synthesized garbage. It repeats. There is no interest there to be had. Put on the Twitch, jump on to Chris Miller, go and check out his singles, Not Crazy and Long Night. Go and check out his mashup. I promise you won't be disappointed. And once again, Chris, thank you so much for giving me some time tonight.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me on.
Push2Plat podcasts are conceived, written, and edited by CJ Anderson in Adobe Audition. YouTube upload handled by repurpose.io. Music licensing by artist.io. Push2Plat would like to thank our Patreon producers Zador VP, Redbeard Rick, T-Bird, Olsero, and Ready to eBag. Without your support, this show would cease to exist. If you would like to say hi, jump into the Discord in the show notes or on Twitter at Push2Plat. If you're interested in supporting the show, then jump on Patreon, the Push2Plat Patreon, where you can find more information on how to support us and allow us to continue to bring wonderful guests and topics from around the world.
Yeah.